Alright, 4-4, we're looking at congruent triangles. And so let's start by reviewing the definition of congruent. Remember, congruent means same size and shape. So congruent triangles are triangles that have the same size and the same shape. Okay, the next thing we also want to take a look at is an abbreviation CPCTC. What it stands for is corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay, so here's the significance of this. If you've got two congruent triangles, then each one of their corresponding parts has to match. So again, a triangle has 6 parts. It's got 3 angles and 3 sides. So if 2 triangles are congruent, then all 6 parts have to match up. All the angles have to match. Okay, all the sides have to match. All right, and when we say match, we don't just mean that, you know, there's a 6 here and a 7 here and a 6 here and a 7 here or whatever. If the 6 is across from the 48 here, then the 6 has got to be across from the 48 here. So all 6 parts have to be matching and corresponding, right? And so kind of what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at 2 congruent triangles, and I know they're congruent because all 6 parts have a match. 6, 7, 8, 54, 78, 48. They all match. All right, congruent triangles. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write out the 6 congruent parts. Okay, because number one, we're going to have proofs coming up here later in this particular unit, and so we need to make sure that we have the notation down of how to write these things congruent. You can't just say this side congruent to this side. Okay, you got to know how to write the sides as segments. Okay, so the first piece that I know is that AB is the same as DE, right? They match. They're both 6. So I can write segment AB is congruent to segment DE. All right, and remember, okay, since these are segments are objects, and congruent is used with objects. Equal is used for numbers. So keep that in mind. If you're writing down the parts of a triangle, those parts are objects. Okay. Now the measures of those objects might be the same, and it is in this case. Okay, but just remember that when you guys are going through and looking through these, that they just have to match up correctly. And so segment AB is congruent to segment DE, right? Also, segment BC is congruent to segment EF, and segment AC is congruent to segment DF. So that takes care of all 3 sides. Okay, let's look at the angles. Angle A matches with angle D. They're congruent. B matches with E, and C matches with F. All right, so this is an illustration of all 6 corresponding parts of a triangle being congruent. All right. So again, if 2 triangles are congruent, if we know that information is true, then all 6 corresponding parts have to match. All right. And so once we verified that all the corresponding parts match, then we can write this statement: triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Okay. Now, here's the thing about a congruent statement. We can't just brush over this. Okay. In a congruent statement, the order of the letters is very important. The order of the letters tells you what parts or what pieces match in the CPCTC. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So what's the first letter we come to here on this one? A. And what's the first letter we come to here? D. Well, guess what? Angle A is matching with angle D. Angle A is matching with angle D. All right? So if this one's first and this one's first, they match. All right, look at B. Angle B matches with angle E, of course, and C, 48, what do you think F is? 48. They match. All right? And so the order of the letters tells you which parts correspond to each other. So whatever is first here corresponds with whatever's first here. Second and third and so on. And it's not just limited to the angles, it also works for the segments. So if I take the first 2 letters, segment AB, which is 6, it should match the first 2 letters here, which is DE, which is, big surprise, it's also 6. All right? And so likewise, BC, 7, matches with EF, 7. Okay, AC, 8, matches with DF 8. All right. So again, the order that you write the letters in the triangle congruent statement, okay, will reflect CPCTC. It'll reflect what parts are congruent. Okay. All right. So make sure you remember that moving forward. And so now what we want to do is we've got a congruence statement here that says triangle ABC is congruent to triangle NQP. All right, NQP. Okay, so what I want to do here on this is I want to try to fill in this triangle. I want to fill in all the missing parts, the missing labels, the lengths of the sides, the degree measures of the angles, because they've already told me what parts correspond. And so here's kind of how it works. So angle A is 40. Well, what does angle A match with? N. So angle N, guess how much it is? 40 degrees, because it matches in the triangle congruence. B is here, it's 90 degrees. So what do you think Q is? 90 degrees. So far so good on the checkout. And go to C now, and C has 50 points, or 50 degree measure, right? 50 degrees is the angle. And so C matches with P, and so P would also be 50 degrees. So we're filling it in. Okay. Now we can go to the segments. Segment AB matches with segment NQ. So segment AB, which is 8, matches with NQ, which is also 8. Alright, so things are shaping up now in the second triangle. BC is 6, and so BC, the second and third, okay, should answer to QP, the second and third, and it is. So 6 here, also connected to the 90, right? So that's how we kind of know that that's the truth. Alright, here's the next one. Okay, we've got several different problems that we want to kind of take a look at here. And so in the first, the directions, by the way, say identify the congruence. So they're going to give me a triangle, and I have to complete the congruence statement based on the diagram that they're giving me. All right? And so for this one, I've got JPL. Okay? Now, I already know the triangles are congruent. The directions say identify the congruence, and there's a congruence signal all the way down on every problem. Okay? So, again, we already know that what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to finish the congruence statement. Alright, so JPL, right? So let's see what we can match this up to. Now, they haven't given me any numbers here on these angles and sides, but they have given me some of the congruent markings for each one. So angle J has 1 mark. Which one over here has 1 mark for the angle? That would be angle T. It's the only one. Alright, so there we go. Check mark there. It's congruent to triangle T something. Let's look to point P and see if we can get a clue. Point P is 2 marks, and V has 2 marks. So it's got to be V. Alright, and 3 marks, L matches with S. Alright, so we have completed the congruence statement. We have several more we want to do here. Okay, and so on this one it says PRS. PRS, that's the triangle, and I need to match it with another triangle. Let's see if we can. And so once again here we'll have a lot of the same characteristics. So angle P, 2 marks. Well, that matches angle P in the bottom, which also has 2 marks, and that's correct. It's going to start off triangle P something, okay, because angle P actually happens to be in the top triangle, and angle P happens to be in the bottom triangle. All right, and so again, so P matches with P, and that's fine. Now R, when you're looking at R is the 90 degrees, right? And so it's actually going to match with the R on the other side, which is also 90 degrees. The R of the other triangle is what it would match. Right? So if you got a 90 here, then you also have a 90 here. Okay, so keep that in mind. So I bet when we're looking at this one, the R is a part of the top one. When we're looking here, R is the a part of also the bottom one. So again, there's a shared side here, a shared side, and it's called a reflexive side. It's congruent to itself. It kind of is facilitating these parts here being in both triangles. Okay, so PR, so we got one left, and the only one that we haven't really accounted for is Q. Q 1 mark, S 1 mark, and so it's going to be PRQ. Alright, and we can verify that all those different parts and stuff are congruent now. Okay, let's go to the next one. So in the next one we want triangle ABC. Alright, we want it to be congruent to another triangle, and let's see by the markings if we can figure this out. So ABC. Alright, so A has 2 marks, so it should match with E, so it's congruent to triangle E something. Alright, so let's just keep going down the line. B has 1 mark, D has 1 mark. Good to go. Okay, and C, what does C match with? Well, C is again a point that is actually in both triangles. They share a common point right there, the vertex. So well, when you write it in, it's going to be C matches with C. Okay, so this C here matches with this C. Anybody remember why? Because vertical angles are congruent, and we've got it that way. Okay, looks like one more example we need to do here. And so for this one, I have triangle ABC. It's going to be congruent to another triangle that we're looking at. And so let's start with A. So A and ABC has 2 marks. So which angle over here has 2 marks? It would be the angle C. Alright, so that's C. B now has 90 degrees. He's matched up pretty well with D over here, that's also 90 degrees. Alright, and let's see, what else do we want to do? I want to look at C. So angle C in the bottom triangle has 1 mark. Okay, and the angle on the other triangle with 1 mark is angle A, CDA. And it would be your correct answer there that we're looking at. Alright, so with that, you've got everything that you need now to go and complete your quiz.